Hello, good evening. I think I should just start now. I think people will keep joining. Okay, so let me start with myself. I'll introduce myself quickly. I am Poonam Bhargav, known as Mona by the education community in the GK2 area and Alaknanda area. I'm a career counselor. I have a little company called VNAND, the Learning Academy, where we take care of education specifically for middle school, college, and senior school. And because I keep getting in touch with the parents and keep talking to them and getting to know what they are facing with their children, this so-called initiative of creating and offering a space in Vinand for security and safety of children came in my mind. And that's when I met another like-minded person, Saurabh, who's with us here, who's going to be really talking and giving us his very valuable insights on what parents should know about cybersecurity and cyber safety. So, so that is how we decided to collaborate, and that is how we decided that we are going to be creating this space for all the parents who want to contribute their experiences so that we can educate other parents, and how we will be conducting workshops for children and educating them on this very serious issue. Because with the current pandemic, what has happened is that now school life is also going to be on the internet. So looking at the future, let us look at the hygiene that digital life can impart. And with that thing in mind, I want all of you all to be very interactive with us, because if we will have your comments in the chat, your questions in the chat, then it will really help me broach it to Saurabh, and that's how we can actually get the most out of this workshop. So before I start and before I introduce Saurabh, I would just like to explain the structure of this workshop. It will be exposing you to a very nice internet space which you can check for your children. So I'll take you there. After that, we will have some slides on which we will be talking and understanding what digital platform is all about. And after that, we are going to, and in between, we'll do a poll, and after that, we will have a Q&A. So Saurabh, very welcome. He's a great guy. He is an environmentalist. So I'm starting with that because of the project that is currently, his passion, the Dead River Project. And that is one of the key areas he's been associated with, besides his professional life, wherein he is the VP of Biomix Global Sales, and here today because he believes very passionately about empowering children, about girl education, and about how to really make children the trailblazers of tomorrow. So, with that in mind, Saurabh, very welcome to this very nice workshop for parents. I hope it's very informative for them and they can come forward with their concerns and help us in the same.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So should I first take all of you all to a little space on the internet so that you can see that how you can actually do this little quiz and check whether you and your children are actually cyber addicted. Have you heard of this quiz called Parent Child Addiction Test? Okay, so let me take you there first, because this is going to be something which will let you know if your child needs intervention. I'll just share my screen. One of the key words that has become very popular is, can you hear me? Can you see my screen? So please give me a thumbs up reaction when you can see my screen. Okay, thank you so much. But this is not what I wanted to take you to. So one second. See, this is what happens on digital platform, that we keep Struggling. Okay, now. So one more time I'll ask if you can see my screen. No? Okay, one sec. All right. So this is the place which is called healthyplace.com. Okay, so I will, yeah, thank you so much. I will paste the link for your reference on the chat window after the session, so that right now in the middle of the session you don't get very curious and start doing this test. So it is called the parent child internet addiction test. It is one of the key things that you as parents can start with, especially the ones who have middle schoolers and even senior schoolers. So this test is about 20 questions. It will not take you more than 2 minutes to complete, and the results are amazing. So once you take this test, which has very very pertinent questions like how often does your child seem more tired and fatigued than he or she did before the internet came. So all of these kind of questions, you can just take a minute or two, maybe with your better half, with your spouse, do this test and see the results. So once you will submit, the results could look like this. So you will get a score, and the score will be 70 over whatever number, 101. So the scoring is like this. So if it is below between 20 and 49, then your child is an average online user, and he and she may surf the web a bit too long at times, but you have control of their usage. This is 50 to 79 is experiencing occasional or frequent problems because of the internet. So I had just done a random quiz on myself to show you that the score of 70 is where your child has frequent problems because of the internet, distraction, lack of focus, etc. And anything between the range of 80 to 100 is really serious and can cause significant problems. So once after the seminar gets over, I think the first step would be to go here and take this quiz and decide for yourself as to which category your child falls in. And then from there, you will automatically get answers to what you need to do later, because Saurabh and I would be taking you through a little journey of how to ensure digital hygiene for your child. Over to you, Saurabh. If you want me to put the slides on, you can let me know, and I shall have the slides on. Or you.
Yeah, sure. So before we get into the slides, thank you so much, Poonam ma'am, for coming together and giving me a space to talk about something that I'm very, very concerned with. And thankfully, I have been educated enough to come here and take everybody through what I have learned and why it is important. Because being a youngster, I'm still calling myself youngster, but I'm 30 plus. But then this is the most crucial phase wherein a parent has to understand what a child has to bear when he or she grows. Now we are all living in a very fast digital medium, and we are so engrossed in it that our complete life is dependent on its availability of its safe space. Or so it's kind of a real world in a virtual space where everything happens, but then there's no control. Though there are policies, though there are uh, parameters defined, but there are a lot of loopholes that a common digital citizens don't understand. So here is that phase where we need to really take a stop and see for your own self that where are we heading towards. With this whole pandemic thing and the life getting into the digital track so rapidly, that we don't know, the screen time has gone up. uh, we want it or we don't want it, we are engrossed in it unwillingly. So there has to be a time where we need to take ourselves out of the digital world and be in the real world. We have to take, there's a health, maybe you have to detox. So in digital life also detox plays a very big part. Why should we detox? Why there is a digital fatigue? So these are the pertinent questions that comes to our mind when we are operating in a digital space. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we are having so much of relationship happening with the digital space. People today don't come open face to face. They prefer doing things digitally. So how safe is it? What are the ethics? Do we need to follow this, follow that? So those kind of information needs to be shared, and it has to be imbibed, because these are the culture that we are developing it, not for ourselves, but as we grow from here to the next phase. And that phase will be very fast. And fortunately, when I started understanding digital medium, it was, we were one of the pioneer, the first generation where we were introduced with floppy disk and all those things, and we landed up in the era of Wi-Fi. So that's the journey that I, as a small token of understanding that I have. So from floppy disk to this Wi-Fi and 4G network, this is the journey that I had. In that whole journey, internet started slow and engulfed me into a space where I grew. So we started with getting into the digital medium just by doing messenger, and now we are dealing with WhatsApp and whatnot, Skype, WhatsApp, WeChat, all those stuff. So that's the kind of speed that we have seen, that I have seen, maybe you have seen, where we have jumped from A to B and then directly to YZ. So that's the kind of rapidness that we have faced. Now, coming to the ethics and digital footprints and us, why it is important, all those things. So let's get into the slides, ma'am, if you can, please.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
So yes, as we all know, we are so connected. Everything is, so intertwined that we cannot take ourselves out of the system. This world is so alive. Even if when you're sleeping, you are connected. So how do we understand this connected world? So if you go through the text, then you can understand there are two types of activity happening: active activity and passive activity. Active activity wherein you are alive, you are connected all the time, you are on the go, you are connecting. So that is what the active thing is happening. But we are also connected passively. Undercurrents are happening. Even if we are not logged in into a system, our digital life is taking shape. Our digital life is randomly progressing as the hour grows. Maybe I can give you a reference. For example, you have a Facebook account, or you have an Instagram account, you have a Twitter account, and you have posted something, and you have logged yourself out from the system or from the platform, and then you started with your regular life, the actual world. But believe me, and you all know, and we all know that one post or one digital remark can really make or break your personality, or your understanding of life, because you don't know how that one footprint or one space or one comment has shaped up the whole ecosystem. That's what your footprint is all about. So one must understand that it's not that only you are actively in the platform, so you are having a digital life or digital footprint. No, it's a both way around. Even if you're not active, you are active. So it's a very very difficult world, so to say. We have to tread our paths very carefully, and we have to understand the ethics of this world, because as in a real world, we have certain amount of respect, certain amount of dignity, certain amount of rules, certain amount of pros and cons. Exactly same happens in the digital world. And in this digital world, the difference between the digital and the real world is that you can rectify your mistakes in the real world by asking sorry, or by telling that, okay, fine, this has been done, so let's rectify it. You can work on that. But when it is in a digital world and you have made a footprint, and unfortunately that footprint becomes the talking point of for some time to come, and it can impact not only now, but it'll come back again when you are at a certain age where you don't expect the setback to happen. And this is especially for the young minds, young ones, especially the college and the school kids, class 8th to class 12th, or maybe college, that they express certain things, and that certain things at that certain point may be valid, but then when they grow, and then when they are in certain profession or applying for college or applying for job, as the time grows, as we are rapidly growing to a very digitized world, your footprints will be verified, your footprints will be judged, you will be judged based on your past, what you have given as an input in the digital world, because that's where the actual world will be mapping you. That's where you will be judged by your actions, and those actions cannot be normally you cannot wipe it off. Even if you wipe it off now, there will be strains of it stored in some space that can or cannot be brought into action if there are certain agencies, if they are really active. And as we are talking about cybersecurity, there are there are things that can really dig your bones out of your history, of your cookies, of your browser, of whatever you have done in your digital life. So that's the kind of problems we are talking about. And for that to understand, we have to understand how we are following our digital life, how are we uh, taking care of not only the real world problem, also the digital world problems, because these problems are equally relevant, these problems are equally magnanimous, because if you don't take them seriously, if you don't abide by the rules of the world, you are definitely bound to face certain hurdles that may define your future, that may define or redefine maybe the days to come, because that's how criticality this digital space controls. Today we are consumed, we are most of the time in a span of 24 hours, 18 hours a day, we are logged in, we are not logging us out. So that is where the real issue is, that are we really equipped with handling so much of information? Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yeah. How about we take a quick poll, if
Yeah,
you
please.
now,
Please.
or maybe, yeah, because let us know what people
Yeah, yeah.
platform think about what you are asking.
Please, please.
Yeah.
So people have to just say yes or no while taking the poll. How will it be?
Yeah. So here are some questions. You will just have to mark them, and then we'll have the results. So
And
everybody,
it will be, everybody will get that in the screen, right?
yeah, I think you already would have received it on your screen. Now, I have just launched it. Is it visible? I think,
Yes, yes. So let's start with it.
yes. Please start voting.
At what age should a child be allowed to access digital platforms? Okay. Second question, do you think that usage of gadgets for children could disturb their social setup? Mm, very important questions. At what age should a child understand about password? Do you think social networking has a negative effect?
I think no one's really
Okay.
voting. Can I please request everybody to vote?
Yeah, if everyone can vote, then we'll be able to figure out. Did we get any vote?
Yes, one person's is complete. There
Okay.
are others in progress. Yeah, another minute.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, these are questions they need to think
Yeah, yeah.
and answer.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So, Saurabh, while you were talking, I have a lot of doubts in my mind. even, I mean, these youngsters, if you're talking about middle schoolers, I mean, there are children who are so much on with their phones. They're just taking pictures and posting on Snapchat, on, Insta. So, and with the advent of AI, like, people are these days not even realizing that when their Google and their Siri and, Alexa is on and they're talking, so
Mhm.
when they are not in use, when they are not receiving the commands from us, they are still hearing us.
Yes, yes, yes,
So that is also digital footprint, or that is
yes, of course.
that.
Absolutely, it's a digital footprint. Yes.
Okay. And
Everything that you are getting through a digital medium, there's a storage that's happening.
yeah,
Even as we are going doing this session, it's also a digital footprint.
exactly. Yeah,
It's being stored in the Zoom's server, that they can access, that they can have a, you know,
yeah,
every country has their policies. That's the reason a digital framework is being taken very seriously in every country. And there are cyber policies, there are cyber securities, and there are experts who are managing this government on government level. They are defining how the rules should be for the common citizens to use their technology, use the internet, use the power of the social media. So everything that you see, that you hear, that you interact with on the digital space has a storage program. There are servers which keeps information intact forever.
so, just on that point of a Snapchat, one of a very which I will just share. Snapchat had a very big fiasco. Like, when it just came out in the market, and it was the most easiest way to snap and share. So, and then these companies that are wanting your data, and they are just sitting there with hawkeyes and wanting to capture data. So there were approximately 55,000 Snapchat cases which were hacked into. Their personal information was taken, and they were potential, victims. And after that, once it was figured out, then it was taken into somebody. The department took control of that, and the data was so-called saved. Okay, so I'm just stopping the poll here because we have everybody has done it. Okay, my God. So let's look at the results. So I'm sharing the
Yes.
results. Very interesting results here. So at what age should a child be allowed to access digital platforms? So 50% of us have here said 8 to 9 years. And after completing 10, one person has said, okay. Do you think the usage of gadgets for children could disturb their social setup? Everybody said yes. Okay, somebody thinks it's okay. Usage of gadget must be the control category. At what age should a child understand about password? 7 years. Okay. Do you think social networking has a negative effect? 75% says yes. Do you think gaps have been created in students' learning as they are not able to attend classes in schools? Okay, so 50% say yes, because in schools they get continuous monitoring and support from every teacher. How nice. All right, so I'm hoping, Saurabh, you've seen this,
Yes.
and your insight on this, because you have data, I mean, the research with you, and your research says something similar to what the poll says, or it's different.
It's somewhat similar. It's somewhat similar. There are ups and downs in the category of the percentages vary, and
Okay.
that's we understand because that's where various demographic challenges has to be taken into account before we come to a conclusion. And every place has a different setup of fears. Basically, every fear that we have discussed here, or every concern that we have jotted down in the Q&A, um, are similar, but then yeah, variations are there. But anyways, that's where as a parent, as an informed parent, has to understand that they have to take care of the passwords, they have to take care of the, actually it's a hand holding for parents also. Honestly, if you ask me, I have been to a lot of parents and a lot of students, young minds, that there are times where digital space does an amazing job of educating each other. And I'm talking about a parent and a student kind of an atmosphere. And there are a lot of spaces, a lot of times where a kid or a young student has helped their parents to digital literacy in part of exploring them and opening them up into a new world that they were not aware of. And that has really helped to bridge the gap of age, bridge the gap of understanding. Parents have come down to a level where they are acknowledging a child's understanding of the technology and understanding of the world, that is what they are going to so I see things in a very positive way. Of course there are negativities, of course we have to be on the guard all the time, but I see a very, very amazing future for young ones as well as the adults, the parents, because if you ask me how I would love to see myself when I grow thoda aur zyada, so I would suggest I would see myself learning from the younger ones rather than putting in my understanding of so far. I would accept the younger one's perspective and the younger one's understanding of the modern way of living, and inculcate a medium path of bringing myself down to a level where we can balance it out. Because at the end of the day, balancing technology and ethics, because a child will only follow what he or she understands through the environment. An environment has a parent's involvement in it, because the moment you withdraw yourself from your kid saying that he is to be blamed or she is to be blamed, that he or she is always on the internet, always on the phone, will take away your child from you.
Very important.
Here,
Very important.
yes.
Can I just interfere here for a second? So, and this is the reason why we are talking today, and this is the reason why we are inviting parents. Because I also, as a parent, when my children were growing up, faced this. Because, and research says that from when the child becomes 15 till they are about 30, that is a very long gap for a child to not connect with the parents. Because suddenly what happens, they attain puberty, they are already having hormonal changes, then the parents want betterment, but then they do not know how to instill that betterment in a way where children don't take them as monster parents, or as very dominant parents. Okay, so the what you just said, that how to instill this in them, how to have the confidence of your parent, that he or she will be there without scolding you, without stopping you. So how do we get to doing that? Because what happens with so much of digital uh, availability, digital life is now everybody's cup of tea. School, 8 hours, take your digital time, right? Now parents think that their assignments are also going to happen online. Everything is happening online. In the process, what has happened, and this is data that my very dear friend who's a cybercrime expert has given to me and shared with me, that ever since the pandemic started, 95% of the traffic has gone to the porn sites. And it is so alarming. And it is very important for us educators to bring this to the notice of parents, that digital activity is actually sometimes hidden from them, because there is so much availability and you can't always be monitoring. Initially there was this confiscations, and the wi-fi could be switched off, but now there are so many ways by which you could ask for it, or so we have to on this platform ensure that the parents don't find any topic taboo and not shy away from discussing. Because one of the key concerns that I have faced so much was that how do I broach this topic with my child, that how can I tell them that please do not send an inappropriate picture on a chat. That's how the boys locker room fiasco happened, that's how all these things happen. So you how much of this have you seen as digital imprints? Because parents don't feel that they have the power in them to explain their child that this should not be done, because this is not hygienically the correct way to go forward in this life. of social media. Because what happens when one small episode becomes big, only then they can say, well, hello, see, this is what has happened, and this is now at somebody's reputation, or this is humiliating a so-called student. So what advice would you like to give to parents here, that they understand that what is the consequence of digital imprint? Because which this is exactly what you want to share, I believe, in your next slide, right?
You know what? Everything boils down to the upbringing and not of the child. I'm talking here of the parent, because at the end of the day, the ethics that we are talking about, the knowledge we are talking about, is not confined just to the kid. The kid has seen the world after you or me, but then what we have seen, what kind of experience we had, has already shaped up, and that shaping up of us is directly affecting the ones that we have given birth to. So if our parents were open enough, or they were able to sit and discuss it in person with you, and you know uh, tell the child that, boss, this is what should be done, this should not be done, tell them in a more pragmatic way, in a more open way. And one parent has to be vulnerable. They have to be bringing down their guard of ego, that I am a father, I cannot be wrong. Yes, you can be wrong. you know that's where the education comes in, that a father has to talk to a child, or a mother has, or parents both together has to talk to a child, that you know this is how the world is going to pan out in front of you. These are the pros and these are the cons. These are the things that you should take it in a positive way. These are the things that you should see, but you should later on explore the life in totality. जब तक ही नहीं होगा, and this is the block, this is the roadblock based on my experience that I'm telling you. It is nothing to do with the digital space. It is about ethics, it is about parenting, and it is about the conscious effort of the parent to handhold the kid into a new sphere of understanding of the world. ये जो issues हैं वो कल भी थे when there was no digital medium, आगे भी रहेंगे with the digital medium, और अभी भी है with both the worlds overlapping each other. So everything boils down to a healthy discussion of a family, where in the dining table you sit across and discuss matters that really affects you as a parent as well as a child. And you have to discuss it not as in an authoritative way,
Very
but in
right.
a way that is more like a conversation, that is that dialogue. If you have a right amount of attitude to talk to your kid in the right way and with the right content, then you will be able to bridge that gap and help create a confused citizen into a aware and informed digital citizen. Or else you will not able to handle the kind of madness he will be into, or she will be into for that matter, because it's a mad world out there. You have lot of thought process going on, very critical thought process going on, very crude process going on, and there are a lot of people who are waiting to handhold you and hack you. And that's a serious problem. We may not see the problem coming in our house, but we never know how our kid will fall prey to those kind of dirty minds that will just wipe your child's brain, and he or she will be diverted to path that he or she should not go into. So a parent has to be the most important element here, bringing their ego down, bringing their all kind of inhibitions, because for parents also it's very difficult to talk about what we are discussing right now,
Exactly.
where
Exactly. And
yeah. So
it's actually with everybody, because they say now a doctor can't treat his own family. So
yes,
it's very
yes.
difficult for a mother to become a child's best friend or a child's counselor. But
Hmm.
but there has to be a way, like you said, that ego. I loved that ego point of yours that you brought out, because we as parents, we feel that we are right all the time. How
We
can
are
we
not.
be right all the time? We have to also give them a hearing. We have to give children a hearing about why they are wanting a so-called extra time, or how we can instill the trust that we are having in them, so that they come and share their activity on the internet as opposed to hiding it from us. Because most of the time, hiding becomes a problem. And then they try to hide more, and then they try to hide more, and then it lands them in trouble. Like you are saying, that if, and I saw a very nice video, very powerful video. If all of you are hearing, you could actually just type on Google, I know you, Sarah. It's a very, very powerful video. Everybody knows Sarah. So, you know how this one girl is roaming in her campus and everybody says hi to her, people who don't even know her, okay, by just one post that she posted on the internet. And how? Because the word is viral. It just goes viral. And how, who shares her information with whom, and how the whole world gets to know, is something that parents are finding it very difficult to teach their children this. But I think the intervention of maybe a psychologist or a counselor, or some workshops can probably do this. Something that we both decided that we should collaborate on this and create this little space for them. So
Yes, yes. That's where it all boils down. We need to have a good hand-holding facilitators who understand both sides of the coin, because nobody is wrong. Everybody has their got point, but then somebody has to listen to the both parties, and bridge the gap and create a safe space for each other. And we cannot ignore the importance of child in a digital space. We cannot equally ignore the space acquired by the parents, because in digital community everybody is equal. The only thing that makes change is how you are interpreting a lot of things. So if you come to the slide here, fear of parents finding out digital activity, the first point. I mean, in real world also we are also scared all the time that what if parents get to know. So if parents are getting to know, okay, fine, we will discuss, we'll have a dialogue. If that is there in as a key at the back of mind, then no problem can be a problem if we have a space to talk about it. Secondly, personal information of sharing of personal information. There are a lot of spaces where you just randomly post whatever you feel like any information, like for example, if it is a girl child and that girl child is addicted to internet or social media, he or and she's very happy to express herself, that's fine, no issues with it expressing. But then the child should understand what kind of information should be shared, because it will come back to her itself. Now parents have to teach that, beta, that this is what you should put in, this is what you should not put in, and with the proper definition of why not. Because a child has a lot of questions, and if you are not able to explain it, I think you are not able to clarify the child's concern, and he or she will not stop herself. She or he will be explaining it to the world that no, this is what my personal information is. Then as a child grows, who knows, those information that was shared can boomerang and create a mess in job when he or she goes for an interview. Because every future prospective clients or offices, they do have a check mechanism of your internet activity, of your digital footprints, that what were you doing prior to joining in our new office. So today it is not relevant, but as we grow, as we are moving ahead, there will be verification done on digital space that what kind of post you are putting. Is it anti-national? Is it pro-government? Is it anti-government? Because there are a lot of layers of a person's thought process that is being openly, vulnerably discussed in digital space. We don't fear of expressing ourselves. That's the power. But then that power becomes a menace when you are confronted in a wrong space, where that same information acts as a uh, anti of you, of who you are. Your whole identity is being questioned when you're looking for a job, because they are very, very concerned about people who are having a pro or anti sentiments for the establishment. And this is one of the examples. There are a lot of examples that can be brought in, where your failed relationship and abuse of your partner and being posted on the public space, that also creates a bad image for you, because you are then demarcated as somebody who is a bully, somebody who is ruining other person's image because of your personal grudge. So now these are the so internet policing is very important, and policing is does not mean that you will be put in a jail, but then of course if it is beyond repair, you can land up in jail, because there are cyber securities, there are cyber laws which are there as it is there in the normal life, because we are a society living with certain frameworks, and in real world if we break that framework we will be confiscated. Same ways goes with the digital space, where if you are not abiding by certain rules and policies defined by digital space, you will violate their policies, and then it can land you up in confinement that you are not required to, and that will jeopardize your whole career. So these are the and parents unfortunately might not know the gravity of the situation of one post or one abuse that a child does on the internet, but then it will come back to them knowingly or unknowingly. They will have to face the consequences of the child's misadventure, so to say, and it will be a misadventure for the child and the family, but then the whole journey of the child will get stopped.
Yeah.
The kind of psychological fear he or she will have, or the trauma that he or she will have, will take a lot of time to heal.
And this is very pertinent. Why? Because I can just very quickly quote one example here. So it's 78% of employers, this is a research survey, saying that they are checking the entire history of hiring a so-called potential candidate on internet. So
Yes.
your entire, what we are talking about, our digital footprints have such a lot of impact on our hiring process. And a dear friend's daughter
Yes.
was asked to hire somebody, and she told me that I also did the same that employers do. I figured out that she had made some remarks on, like you were talking about government and your opinions, and so all of these things matter, where they want a so-called candidate and the candidate doesn't turn out to be in the light of what they're looking for or seeking. So it can potentially harm their entire career growth and career life.
Yes.
So
And there are triggers. Parents has to look out for the triggers. If you go to the next slide, the triggers, I have tried to jot down few triggers, but there are many.
okay.
These are few, like offensive tweets, offensive videos, offensive posts, sharing fake news. So just going back a couple of years back, uh, i was I was fortunate enough to get into uh, a 2 days hackathon by Facebook and Youth Ki Awaaz and Director Policy. Facebook had taken that course on digital policy and policy implementation, where they said that as the rapidness of the digital space are happening, you are bound to be part of all these triggers. The only thing that will make a difference is how informed you are, how aware you are, and how cautious you are in your digital life. And that is the key of managing these things for a parents also, because he was the policy director of Facebook, telling us that as we see the surge of fake news happening and sharing of the fake news because of certain elements in the digital community trying to change the whole ecosystem, have a very very unique sense of understanding of the digital world, and they are shrewd enough to manipulate your brain, manipulate you as your thought process. So we have to be on the safeguard, and a parent can only do, or a child can only withdraw himself from all these things is by being informed. You cannot be a lame duck where whatever is fed you take it and you split it out, because you may be the medium, but that action and the reaction will define your digital you know uh, medium, your digital personality, so to say, that you are the medium and you will be targeted. And these fake news define the country and the ecosystem and the economy, everything. We may not be thinking ourselves to be the major shareholder of the whole mess, but we are. We, even one bad information or a wrong information shared by us is considered to be a crime, though there is no offense, but then this is a crime, sharing of a news that you're not verified. And if you're not verified, you just cannot by your will and by your emotions, share it to others who may not be, knowing of what you're sharing. So all these things, offensive tweets, offensive videos, offensive posts, sharing fake news, these are minor triggers that a parent has to keep in mind for themselves also, because unknowingly parents also fall into the trap, because we are all humans at the end of the day, and we have to understand that where our ethics lies. And as a way forward, if you ask me, Mona ma'am, this is where our consciousness comes into play. It's not to do with anything with the digital space. It has to do with the real humans. And we should not forget that at end of the day, the value system of our society that has been there intact for generations will define who we are, will define our digital, presence, will define the way we live our digital life till whenever we are. Because uh, if you see, our reputation is on the line of fire. It is more today than it was prior, because we can be judged directly. One post will define what kind of thought process we have. Are we anti-national? Are we anti and establishment? Or we have a very strange view of the world that we see? Are we crooked in our thought process? Content does matter, because everything boils down to what is written or what is posted, because content becomes us and we become the content. Because nobody is going to actually go and see in your character how good or bad you are. They will judge you. They will judge you by what you have posted, by what you have shared, by what you have projected. And one has to have a positive sense of understanding of life, then only that will be replicated in the digital format. If you're positive within, you will only speak and do positive things, and that has to have a very healthy life in a real world that will reflect in the digital space. Because if you're not healthy in real life, healthy, I mean, not only physically but mentally also, mental health plays a very, very big role in defining the whole concept of you as a person on the digital parameter. Because you cannot take away your mental involvement, because at the end of the day, we are we are people, we are having brain in our head, and that brain actually monitors us and manages us. So our heart and brain has to be in sync, and that can only be happening if we have a healthy physical life, real life, and then that only will be reflected into digital space. So I think that needs a handholding, that needs experts to be there with anyone who wish to understand the real and the better way of you know uh, having a digital life. One has to be real. One has to detox himself or herself from digital world quite often. Have some time in real world where you meet, interact, play, smell the fragrance of the world, and then come back with a fresh mind. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, very quickly, I think we can now uh, open the floor for some question and answers. Uh,
Yes.
while you were talking, I have some very, important questions that I want to ask you. You said that digital footprints are there, even if, even passively also. Passive, you use the word.
Yeah.
So, can they be erased? If for
Mm,
some reason, like for some reason, I was not conscious and I created some bad digital footprints. Now,
mm.
if I've suddenly become conscious, can I go and undo what I did?
You can delete it, but then there are certain cookies, you call it, in digital space, which remains in the browser history.
Okay.
That cannot be erased.
So
uh,
always,
though there are policies. For example, if you say Google's policy of storing your personal information or your digital information, so they have given an option of accepting the history to be part of their server.
mhm,
When you actually enter into Google world, there is a checkbox which has everything defined. When you start your digital birth, when you take a birth in digital space, in Google, for example, there are policies that are clearly defined that what will they do with your digital activity. Do you want to save them? Do you want to be never be saved. All those options do come. So one has to be informed to first check those, that
Right.
what are the pros and cons of getting into this Google, for example, and what will happen when I sign in and put myself, enroll myself into the system. What are the challenges that I will be facing once things go wrong? So those things are, and every company, every digital medium company has got policies in place. So if you want to safeguard yourself from any mistakes, you have to go through the policies. You have to read the policies first, that what are my rights, what are my safeguarding mechanism if something goes wrong. But we tend to ignore this and we go randomly click click click, okay okay okay, and submit. So that's where the informed citizen has to act, that take a step forward, but take two steps back, read the document, read what's written. Is it safe space? Are the policies aligned with what I as an individual have to have when I need it? Will I be compensated if something goes wrong? Will my digital security will be in place if things go wrong? For example, that if something I have, as you said, that I have posted something that I want to remove it, can I remove it or not? All those things are there in policy and privacy. That's a section which normally people click and go. They don't stop and read. When you do that, you will know what are your rights. So yes, you can save yourself. Policies are defined, but then you have to be informed for that.
So we are looking at creating digitally conscious citizens, right?
Yes,
Future
yes,
for tomorrow, which means our children today. And if we actually look at them, where school is not imparting this education, school is not telling them how to be an informed child on the internet. So, and there is no prescribed curriculum that the parent can introduce to the child. So, in that scenario, how can a child be tutored or trained or made aware of what to do? Like, from the perspective of, you said that the most crucial and the most impressionable age, and I think we are all professionals, but we are mothers, we are fathers, we are parents. Okay, so for us, if for example my child tomorrow, and my daughter is also a part of this conversation here, so I would just ask her to also give her insights and inputs as to how she grew up and how she has moved from being a teenager to being now a graduate, and how she took the education from us and from her mentors in college to her advantage. Okay, so
see,
Pranavi,
let's have her. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Pranavi, can you unmute yourself and just share this little?
Hi, mom. Thanks for having me. No, I really listened to you guys, and I think it's great what you all are doing, shedding some light on the pros and cons and how like consequences of social media and how everything sort of moves. Um, I think I just wanted to add that it was one of the first times that I really learned about social media and the sort of gravities it has is when in college, one of my professors told us that, of course, when you're going for a job interview, they've researched everything about you. They know anything and everything that you've ever put out on the internet, and it's really about how you sort of how you presented yourself, how you created your personality, were the right kind of pictures put out, or even comments, was there anything really racist or sexist, or you go into so many different conversations about that then. So that was helpful. I also remember that with Instagram being one of the more used social media platforms, of course you have to understand whether your profile is public or private, who you have on it, who is then further actually screenshotting your content and putting it out there, how is it getting circulated. So your circle, of course, matters a lot. And then I think, as you guys have actually pointed to this out in so many different ways, it's always good to just have your parents know everything that you're up to. And being lucky, or like being just fortunate that we've had open conversations for the many years, it really gives you, like, we have so much more faith and understanding built in our relationship, that then if something were to go wrong, I can always open up and talk about it, and deal with it in a very logical, rational manner, versus fear or anger, or just confusion coming in the picture. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that insight, Pranvi. This gets me to another point, and which is very, very important for all of us here to know that what she said was so nice, that we have a very healthy relationship, that she can come to me with anything and everything, because I've been one of those parents to allow the space for the child, and also allow them to make mistakes, and not pin them down for those mistakes. But there was a very sad case where the girl had messed up, and she did not have her parents to go to. So she was looking for that kind of a support in others, which is so sad. So this bonding has to be the initiative and the responsibility of the parent, and then the child will definitely come around, like she's saying. Also, one very important thing that she brought out was uh, not so she said that security, like settings. So what is happening, how many followers do we have, how many people are on my like page, how many are following me. So this has become a rat race, so we do not even check the credibility. The youngsters do not check the credibility, and they are letting everybody come on their personal profile also and check them out. So that also is that also a very grave concern, Saurabh? Because this following business, oh, I have so many followers on Insta or on Twitter, is also taking the it's dangerous, so to say, on the digital platform, because those many more people know about you, and your personal information is out there.
It's been 10 years, 10, 11 years I've been in digital space, and I only have around 1,000 people who I know in Facebook, and 1,200 in Instagram, and few hundred in Twitter. Why? Because I consciously deleted people who I thought they are toxic, and then they should not be in our system, in my system. Because here with digital space comes the authority. You are judged on how you take a call on who to be there in your life, digital life, and who should not be there in digital life. So I made a point, when I was growing, I was having no clue that I will be landing up in what I'm doing and what I'm saying. I made sure that I'm not going to be in that race, but I'll be having quality people, people who I look up to, people I think who are having some kind of element in them, who can help me grow in whatever way we can. And that has really shaped me to meet the right kind of people, really shaped me to get informed information from the people who I wish to interact with. And it has given me a sense of bonding in real life also. So it's not confined. Those 1,000 people, or say in totality 2,000 people, 3,000 people that I know in digital space, I have met a lot of people in person. I have interacted. There are actors, there are singers, there are writers, there are theater artists, there are normal people, there are co-workers. And I made a point that I will not open up my very, very personal information in the open space, because that's my call.
Yes, true.
And that has shaped my digital profile in a way that looks very concrete, very, very focused, because I was always concerned about culture. I was always concerned about environment. I was always inclined towards art and literature. And that has, if you go to my profile, you will see the kind of things that I do is always reflecting who I am.
Right.
And that's a hard work. That's the real hard work that has taken me and made me who I am. I may not be having 10,000 and 12,000 and 50,000 people, but I have people who really matters to me. They look up to me, and I am bounded by making myself always on the toe that, what if I go wrong and they say ki aisa kaise ho gaya? We were not expecting this.
Yeah. Also, I think a very good way to check your own digital health is you just Google your own self.
Yes.
Google
Yes.
your own self and see what all comes up. And that is going to
Absolutely.
tell you exactly whether your digital life is is streamlined or not, whether it's what you exactly want or not. So that
Yes.
gets me to open a very nice thing that we both have decided to do for our middle schoolers and our senior schoolers, and that is to have a series of workshops. So the first one that we are doing is called the Trailblazers of the Internet, wherein we are going to be enrolling a very few handful of children in one batch so that we can have a very one-on-one relation with them, where we get to know them, where we get to know the psychology that they have for the internet, so that we can actually design their internet life, so that we can also help them not only know the pros and the cons of internet, but also know as to how they can make a good digital imprint for their future by having them create blogs or nice videos or talk about social issues that are relevant to today's time. So it's going to be a very different kind of a grooming, where first it is going to be the digital curriculum imparted to them. It will be 4 sessions in 1 month on weekends, 1 hour each, where for the 1 week they will be writing, so their writing will also improve. And at the end of the workshop they will be having a blog or a video, or something like a little video on YouTube, which is going to start creating their digital footprint on the internet, and will give them all that you parents have been trying to teach them, that do this, don't do this, in a very subtle manner, by just having an interactive discussion with us. So I'm just going to quickly tell
And
you.
we'll also have we'll also have free sessions for parents time to time, so that
Yeah,
they are also aligned and they also feel good about it.
just like this one that we did. So we'll constantly come up with more such sessions, because we want to keep you all very, very informed about everything that is really happening on the internet because of the pandemic and otherwise. So they will be getting a certificate like this on completion. So like I said, it will be a 1 month workshop starting January 2021. So 4 classes, 1 hour each. Fee would be 2000, and it will be a small class size. So what exactly will the junior, so the juniors would be, the junior workshop would be on 9th, 16th, 23rd and 30th of January. And we will be covering all this for them, which is the definitions, which is the jargon of digital footprints, what exactly they are, introducing the important touch points, the kinds of digital footprint that a child needs to know, with case studies, of course, impact of the bad digital footprint, the pros and the cons and the consequences, and how we will encourage a child would be how we will make them write, how we will make them think of coming up with a video, how we will make them take an interview of their own classmate. Okay, so we will have breakout sessions, and exactly like this we will have something for the seniors. So this is all going to be a very it is going to be endorsed by Mr. Rakshit Tandon. He is a cybercrime expert. He is very closely associated with the Ministry of Health and cyber safety. So he has seen this curriculum that we have formulated and very specifically curated for the young brains, and he's more than happy to also be a part as guest on one of our workshops. And so our pedagogy is going to be something like this, where we will integrate what digital citizenship should be going forward for these young children, which I have just explained you via our curriculum. Then, like I said, storytelling is a very important aspect. So if you will not tell them stories about their own peer group that made, those people who made mistakes, so real life scenarios for little children are very important to learn from. You can't teach them, you can only show them, and then they learn. So those will be included, which are again handpicked by the two of us. And then we will have some practical strategies. so that we can ask them only to build their own tool set and also impart this to their neighbors, to their parents, to their siblings, so all that is a part of the curriculum. And how, where, like Saurabh said, that we will be having these kind of interactions with you all. So how your insights and your feedback will help us keep making our curriculum better. So this is a very, um, uh, you know, enthusiastic endeavor and effort on our part, and that's why we have collaborated, because we really believe that we want to create a better tomorrow for these children of today. So I now just would want you all to just ask us if you have any concerns, any question that you may want us to answer for you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
You can unmute yourself. Anjuji, if you have to ask something, you can also share as to what you thought about the uh, workshop.
The workshop is really eye-opener. I mean to say, I learned so many things which I don't know before, especially the employer one. Second thing, as you say, in digital space, you create your own imprints. Like anyone can go back and see your imprint, ki what have you done in the past, and can be seen in the future. You cannot delete all your imprints. That is new to me again. And because we usually see we post something, it's okay, we have posted, it is for a moment, but it will remain there for a long time, we don't know. Because we are also learning this digital space, because when we were young we don't know anything about digital space. Actually now we are learning. So yes, it is really an eye opener. I don't know many things before. Now I have to see all these things in my further life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
Akansha has asked a question in the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's saying, how can one grow with least access to internet in digital world?
So I think one can schedule your digital time. That you routine your life. We understand having a life beyond digital space is also important, and to balance it out, create a chart. 1 hour of digital space, and then rest of the hours of your personal space. Then maybe that can be brought in as in longer duration or shorter duration based on how important your digital time should be and why it is important for you. So everything boils down to how you manage your life and what are the things essential, why your digital life is that much essential that you have to be there 24/7. So if you think that 5 hours of your digital time is enough, you should tune yourself and you should practice. एक दिन में नहीं होगा, but then you keep a tab of it. ठीक है, आज मैंने 7 घंटे किए, कल मेरा टारगेट है 5 घंटा. ऐसे करते करते you will be understanding कि अच्छा ठीक है, in which hour of the time I should go live या go and do a digital space and manage back time in my other work. So managing has to happen and one has to learn how to manage, and ये धीरे धीरे ही होगा. And if you start तभी हो पाएगा, वरना तो you will be engrossed in digital space क्योंकि इतना कुछ है. You will be like अच्छा ये भी करना है, वो भी करना है.
Or आजकल, actually, if you can see, iPhone has also started helping you with this. It tells you your
Yes.
total time on the phone activity, because everything that people are also taking Zoom calls on phone. They are doing WhatsApp on phone, and WhatsApp has also become like your work thing. So
Yes.
it also tells you whether you are exceeding your time limit for the screen. So that
मैं तो कहूँगा use your time in such a way that यहाँ जहाँ पर you make a chart. I mean, it's a professional way of dealing life. आप ऐसा है कि with lockdown scenario and people working from home, it has become very haphazard that every time you're working and every time you are on internet because you have to be online. So balance it out. Maybe go for a jog, go for something that you love doing. Painting कर लो, थोड़ा सा book reading कर लो, थोड़ा सा कुछ कर लो जो कि it takes your concentration out of the digital space for some time, so that your brain can actually slot it out in different way कि अच्छा इस time पे हम अगर ये कर रहे हैं तो daily उस time पे ये करेंगे. So it's a practice that has to happen, but then वो conscious decision होना है, because internet will not leave you. It's a drug. It will, engulf you in that habit of not leaving internet and just sticking to it, because उसको उसी में ही सारा कुछ, every economy is based on the digital space. आप एक घंटे के लिए आप मिस हो जाओगे तो that will be lost to the company who is using internet, now giving the internet to you. So all those things has to be taken into account.
So I just remembered I had promised that I'm going to share the link of that addiction test. The minute Saurabh mentioned, I remembered, and I have just pasted this link. So I would request Anju ji and Akanksha ji and Kavita ji to, just try and do this little test and find out whether your child really is in the category where you should be monitoring more. So thank you so much, Saurabh, for this very nice and insightful discussion. We will continue creating this, these kind of workshops and taking this entire education forward for our parent community, and looking forward to doing the workshops with you. So
absolutely, it's a pleasure, and I'm so thankful for people who have joined us. And a deep thank you, grateful to you guys that you have joined in. And I think I have contributed a bit. So hopefully we'll see more people coming to the workshop. And yeah, let's build a better community, and let's help each other, help parents, help kids to grow into a better community in times to come.
thank you so much. And if you have any further concern, please write to us. You can also follow us on WhatsApp, on Facebook and Insta for regular updates for the sessions to come in the month of January. So we'll keep you posted, and we have your email ID, and we'll keep you posted. But still, if you have something to share with us also, please share.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye.